The rain hammered against the frosted glass of my office, each drop a tiny percussionist in a mournful orchestra. Another whiskey didn't help the ache in my ribs, but it dulled the sharp edges of the questions clawing at my gut. Lila Monroe's warning echoed in my head. Asterisk, Mr. Harding, some doors are best left unopened. Asterisk, easy for her to say, perched on a mountain of inherited wealth, while I was wading through the muck of this city's underbelly. Arthur Monroe's disappearance was a puzzle wrapped in silk and soaked in rain. A textile magnate vanishing into thin air didn't scream kidnapping. It smelled of something deeper, darker. His wife, Lila, was a locked box, pretty and polished, but resistant to any attempt at a key. She's hired me, ostensibly to find her missing husband, but her eyes held a plea, a terror she wasn't willing to voice. I took another swig, the burn a fleeting distraction. The warehouse, number 7. That's where the trail had been called. A legitimate business on paper, but the mud on the floor told the different story. Mud from the docks, the kind that clung to the boots of men who didn't deal in fabrics, men who dealt in shadows. Sal Demarco was the key to unlocking that door, but he was a scared man, a nervous stick wrapped in a cheat suit. He worked for Blackwood, Edward Blackwood, the silent power behind Monroe's empire. Blackwood was a chess master, always 3 moves ahead. He redid everything Sal told me, the words carefully chosen, the silences deafening. He knew more than he was letting on. I could feel it in the glacial politeness of his voice. He was expecting someone, Sal had stammered, his gaze darting around the room. At the warehouse. A contact. About a shipment. What kind of shipment? I pressed. He swallowed hard. I don't know, Mr. Blackwood didn't specify. Said it was delicate. Delicate like a bomb waiting to explode. The Egyptian pottery fragment was another piece of the puzzle. Discovered tucked away in Arthur Monroe's private study. It wasn't listed on the company's assets. It was an artifact, valuable, ancient, and out of place in a textile baron's home. Lila had dismissed it as a trinket, but I had a feeling it was more than met the eye. The hieroglyphs were intricate, a language lost to time, and they felt familiar. My gaze drifted to the photograph Lila had given me, a snapshot of Arthur, younger, laughing with a woman I didn't recognize. The face was partially obscured by shadow, a deliberate obfuscation, but something in the set of her jaw, the curve of her neck, it stirred a memory, a vague sense of recognition. Who wasn't hers in the photograph? I decided to revisit the docks, to walk the rain-slick planks where the delicate shipment might have arrived. The smell of salt water and decay hung heavy in the air. The darkness seemed to press in, a living thing. I spotted a figure huddled in the shadows of a dilapidated warehouse, a familiar silhouette against the flickering neon lights. Sal Demarco. He was meeting someone. I watched from a distance, the rain plastering my hair to my forehead. The figure Sal was talking to was tall and imposing, cloaked in shadow. The silhouette shifted, a glimpse of something metallic reflecting the neon light. A ring, perhaps, or a badge. "Did you get the information?" Sal whispered, his voice strained. "He's asking questions," the other man replied, his voice low and grave. "He's getting too close." "What does Blackwood want me to do?" The man paused. "Make sure Harding disappears. Permanently." My blood ran cold. Lila's warning suddenly made sense. I wasn't just investigating a missing person. I was a loose end, a threat to something much bigger than I could have imagined. I turned to leave, melting back into the rain-soaked streets, knowing I was being watched. As I rounded a corner, a hand grabbed my arm, spinning me around. It was Lila Monroe. "You shouldn't be here, Mr. Harding," she hissed, her voice tight with fear. "You're in danger." "I know," I said, struggling against her grip. "But I'm not going to stop." She pulled a small, intricately carved object from her purse. It was the hieroglyphic locket, the one I'd seen in the photograph. "This belongs to you," she said, pressing it into my hand. "Your father left it to you. He knew this day would come." "My father?" I stared at her, confused. "What are you talking about?" Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows behind her, a tall, imposing man with eyes as cold as the rain. Edward Blackwood. "It seems our conversation is over, Mr. Harding," Blackwood said, his voice dripping with menace. "Your services are no longer required." He nodded subtly, and 2 burly men stepped forward, their hands reaching for their weapons. "Don't do this, Blackwood," Lila cried, her voice cracking. He ignored her, his gaze fixed on me. "You know too much. It's time to silence you." As the men lunged, Lila screamed. I shoved past her, dodging the first blow, and plunged back into the labyrinthine streets of the city, the locket clutched tightly in my hand. The rain continued to fall, washing away the grime of the city, but it couldn't wash away the feeling that I was running out of time. The secrets of Arthur Monroe, of Lila's past, of the collector, they were all converging, and I was caught in the crossfire. And somewhere, in the depths of my memory, a name echoed, a name connected to the locket, to my father, to the shadows that now surrounded me. A name I couldn't quite grasp, a name that felt like a key to unlocking the truth. The name was Raoul,